Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a
Totally Normal
Let's Argue, where I go on our Patreon page and I take from you your hot takes, your unpopular opinions, your tough questions. I respond to the best ones. God, why do I need to explain it? Why do I need to tell you at this point? You should know. You're like a baby with object permanence issues! I don't even know who I am. I need to tell you and reintroduce myself every time! It's time to argue. Drake's a bad guy and it was fun to see him lose a rap beef. The thing that kind of bewilders me most with like this whole Drake beef thing and the way his fans like defend him, let's just put it this way. Regardless of any of the stuff that was said about Drake in the songs, in the beef tracks against him, put all of that to the side. What really kind of blows my mind about the Drake discourse is that for years, just like unprompted, for no reason whatsoever, maybe we're talking about sort of like, you know, little tiffs and beefs behind the scenes, or, you know, people not liking each other, this or that. I mean, a lot of that probably goes on in the entertainment industry at large, regardless of what genre you're talking about, medium you're talking about, whatever. There's probably a lot of people in all forms of entertainment who know each other, but maybe don't necessarily like each other. And the thing is, like, for years, Drake has been openly and covertly taking shot after shot after shot after shot after shot at like his contemporaries, at total fucking randos like Esperanza Spalding, taking the crappiest side totally at random in the whole Megan Tory Lanez thing. Honestly, like, nobody asked what you thought about any of these things or any of these people. You're just making yourself look like a fucking asshole. You're just making enemy after enemy after enemy, totally for no reason whatsoever. And like, of course that's going to catch up to you at some point. He constantly bitches and moans and whines and complains about, oh, I got no friends in the industry. It's lonely at the top. Like that has nothing to do with you. That's not your doing in any way whatsoever. That's just like completely by accident. That's just because people were mean. I mean, look, I get it. Drake didn't really have the easiest entry in the music industry as far as like, you know, people accepting him because he was just mercilessly ridiculed as, you know, being soft and being this and being that. Drake's the type of guy crying to his pillow. I understand, you know, that couldn't have felt good. But like a lot of the people who you're just attacking for no fucking reason at this point have nothing to do with any of that. And it just feels like you're lashing out just to do it. And again, just makes you look like a jerk. And of course, like when we get to a point where Kendrick, you know, an artist with a cultural impact that is comparable to yours, comes through with the diss track, and nobody's there to defend you. Nobody's there to be like, hey, you know what? Kendrick was kind of out of line. Kendrick's doing too much. Drake, say what you will about his behavior, but like, you know, he gets along with everybody. You know, he supports people. He does this, he does that. Nobody was there to say that because everybody knows Drake's a jerk, or at least that's how he consistently conducts himself. And when you have no friends and you have no allies and you have no like real supporters outside of your psychotic cult OVO goon fans on Twitter, nobody's going to back you up when you get roasted in one fucking diss track after another. Scaring the hoes to guys is what Brat is to girls. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think there's anything about Brat that is scary to guys. I was actually seeing some tweets online recently where people were like, we need Brat for boys. And some dudes replied here and there with like a cover of Justice's Cross. And I kind of have to agree. I do feel like Justice's Cross is kind of like, you know, it's that club anthem record in the way that Brad is, but for the boys. Every band / artist should start selling deodorant at their merch tables because Jesus Christ, the amount of people who reek at the venue is atrocious. That really truly depends on the artist. And, you know, honestly, like doing that is just going to alienate people and probably just like create a very bad viral meme that will just kind of like turn people off of that artist's sound, because unfortunately, like, as whack as it is, I feel like a lot of people will avoid certain artists and won't listen to them based on how they perceive their audience to be. Like, is their audience cringe? Are they annoying? Are they this? Are they that? I feel like the music should take priority first. But unfortunately, you know, things like, I don't know, one of your audience members peeing in the mosh pit does kind of end up reflecting badly upon you as a band.
Someone at the Death Grip show in Philly peed in the pit area with urine.
I judge somebody by the music they put on when we get high. Yeah, I'm really not the one. I'm not the Austin. Why did you pick this? I don't really get high. Although I guess I suppose I could see myself in exactly this position. I feel like when it comes to playing music in a group of people, no matter what the context is, sober, high, DJ, party, whatever it is, the most important and key thing that you can do is like be attuned to the vibe and the energy of the situation, as well as, like, to an extent, the music tastes of the people who are in the area with you. What are they into? What are they there for? What would really like complement the moment? It's not about picking the coolest thing. It's not about playing your favorite tracks. If all you care about when you are playing music in front of people is like playing music that is your favorite music, like that's the worst possible thing that you could do. That's just you being kind of like selfish and dumb and annoying. Unless you're talking to everybody and that's like kind of the vibe everybody's into. But the thing is, like, again, if you're gonna do that, double check that that's what everybody wants to do. Don't just unilaterally make that decision. So, I mean, I see what you're saying insofar as if somebody just like is randomly putting on music while all of you guys are high and it's not the mood, it's not the vibe, and it's just like kind of fucking the energy of everything up. Yeah, you for sure, you could judge people by that. Run DMC having no mention in your top 55 rappers list is hip hop blasphemy. Explain that if you can. I feel it's almost impossible to tell a story of hip hop without them. Okay, first off, apologies. No offense intended to the Run DMC fans. I do have a lot of respect and admiration and appreciation for Run and DMC. I guess in my assessment, when it came to, you know, just like rappers and strictly kind of assessing them based on rap ability and the respective times and eras that they came from, because I tried to cover a little bit of everything from, you know, everything and everyone from each essential era of hip hop music. I just kind of feel like there were artists who just had more lyrical ability and more personality and more staying power than a lot of what Run DMC did. As far as historical relevance goes, if we were only basing it on that, or if, you know, that was sort of like a criteria that weighed a little bit heavier for me, I think I would have absolutely thrown in Run DMC. Absolutely no questions asked. I feel like in terms of like 80s rap and making hip hop music that was widely appealing even to people outside of rap, and doing it in such a way to where they didn't necessarily like, you know, need that white appeal like in the way that, you know, Vanilla Ice did. They were essential. They were key to, I think, like softening a lot of crowds who may have been skeptical toward rap music. Otherwise, the way that they were like melding elements of hip hop and rock so effectively and so creatively, I think it opened the genre up to, you know, a new young audience that may not have sort of like given it a chance otherwise. However, the point of my list wasn't necessarily to tell the story of rap music. It was more to assess and kind of like put up there who I think are like the most artistically sound and interesting and daring and creative, you know, artists as far as like rapping is concerned. People talk about how the VULTURES series is bad because of Kanye's anti-Semitism and the drop in quality of his production, but no one's talking about how pretty much every song is horny to the point of it being gross. Every track is just Ye and Ty being weird, horny dudes, and it's the furthest thing from sexy that I could think of. I know Kanye has a track record of being sex-obsessed in his music, but I feel like he's taking it to new extremes here, at least on albums like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and Yeezus. He had other stuff to talk about beyond treating women like objects. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's so many awful things about the project that like that just is so far from being, I think, like first order as far as like people's attention span. And yeah, of course it's awkward. It's weird. It's like, you know, horny to the point where it's like outlandish. I can't even listen to it myself and be like, oh yeah, I agree. That's like a really hot idea. There's nothing like really hot about big, beautiful, butt naked bitches to just fall out of the sky. It's just like, what's even hot about that? It's just outlandish and dumb. It's like a fantasy that like a 12-year-old has. And you know, the thing is like, you could be horny, but there's nothing really about Kanye's music, especially at this point, that comes across like super sexy or sensual, even during like that Yeezus era. With his sexuality on this record, it's like he's just like throwing it out there, just be like, yeah, I can tell the whole world I'm fucking horny and like, who's gonna stop me? You know what I mean? It feels like it's less about the sex and more about, you know, just like kind of in his own mind, like the power move that being so openly horny kind of expresses for him. That's me doing a little bit of a psychoanalysis, I guess. Genuine take. Okay, this is genuine. I have no idea why anyone would willingly listen to Primus. It's just meme music. It's basically low effort trolling with good bass lines. Like, what's the point of music that has zero emotional core and or impact? I'll never understand it. I don't know if I would go as far as to say Primus has no emotional core. Like, what does that even mean? Because like they're not angsty. There's not like stuff about their music that's like kind of dark or weird. I mean, there are certainly tracks that I think like kind of pass that muster in the Primus catalog. The band just kind of rocks. And I mean, they're sort of like, you know, absurd and tongue-in-cheek, and a little conceptual with their lyrics, in the way that Rush tends to be sometimes, or The Residents. Red Era King Crimson is a huge influence on Primus. Pink Floyd as well is a huge influence on Primus. I feel like when you see all of these influences kind of coming together, Primus makes a lot more sense. And while there are records in the band's catalog that I feel like are kind of stinkers and they're not that great, there is something that is supremely kind of weird and freaky and sinister about the band's music that I think makes them a unique group. I think also this is kind of like another case of any kind of absurdity or any kind of employment of comedy in a band's music automatically to some listeners making it them think in their heads like, oh, this isn't serious, this is just dumb, this is just stupid, this is like so passe, it doesn't mean anything. Which, I mean, look at Frank Zappa's music. Are we really going to argue here that like, because so many Frank Zappa albums like employ humor and satire and are a little kind of nudge, nudge, wink, wink, that they're just like dumb and meaningless and there's no emotional core to anything that he does? No, that's like absurd. Like Primus's music does provably express emotion. Maybe it's not the same emotion as a sweet child of mine, you know, or some bullshit like that, but it is like showcasing emotion. Weird question, but do you think Tupac was gay? Yep. I mean, that is a weird question you did deliver upon that promise. What does it matter? How to Disappear is completely a great song, but not a great Radiohead song because it's too pathetic. Most Radiohead songs or got some optimism in it, and it feels kind of weird for it to be in Kid A. What? A Radiohead song is too pathetic. I mean, maybe I'm not fully reading into all of the lyrics, but like, is this not the band that wrote Creep? Is this not like, you know, every young male indie fan's like favorite depression band? Yeah, I don't know if there's such a thing as a Radiohead song that's too pathetic. Not to say most of the band's music scratches that itch, it most certainly doesn't, but like, I don't know, emotionally speaking, the band has been known to go into some like pretty dark places where, you know, self-esteem isn't exactly like the primary flavor. French Montana releasing multiple versions of his Mac and Cheese 5 mixtape should be an example of what not to do when promoting a new project. Just focus on releasing the project as one version only. Hold on a second. Time. What the hell else was that other project though that he dropped out of nowhere that he put out like multiple versions of? Oh, that was actually Mac and Cheese 5. I love that he did so many like versions and different covers to the point where like I literally thought he put out different fucking albums, which I mean just kind of like goes to prove your point here. Also, out of all the versions of this thing that you could drop, why not just stick with this cover? This is cute. This is adorable. You look like you little bobblehead guy with all the mac and cheese around you. That's kind of cool. That's like quirked up. Meanwhile, what the fuck is this thing? What the fuck is this? It's like a shittier version of like the Low End Theory cover. Like what is going on here? Pop rap is not a genre. It's either pop or rap. No, I disagree. It's very provably a genre. I mean, it was pretty much the predominant genre of rap music in the 2000s for the most part. Yeah, it's like elements of pop and rap fused together, and it's way less about lyricism and storytelling than freaking hardcore hip hop and jazz rap was that came before it. Especially considering that, like, you know, you're talking about artists in the genre borrowing nods, taking nods from pop music, prevailing pop songs and artists at the time. Pop rap just kind of makes sense. Let's agree with Swans. Public castration is a good idea. You're sick. You're a sick fuck. You're a sick, disgusting, demented fuck. I actually don't agree. As fun as that project is, I don't agree. Let's argue. Dunzo, finito, in the can. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Anthony Fantano, music forever.